like that's not a
honestly,
common bottle.
If you want to trade it, sit on it for 6 months whenever these are all sold out, and it'll be worth more.
Well, that's true. But I also really want an FAE 01.
It's going to come, though. Here's the thing. You want it faster than when it's going to come out, but we all know it's going to come out. It's just a matter of when does it come out in PA.
That's why I'm not worried about
looking a little Nas X like...
Anyways,
It's okay, I'm cutting the intro to this because it's yet to be relevant to this bottle, so...
Maker's Mark.
So this is, like you said, New Jersey Bourbon and Yacht Club store pick.
So the finish on this one has 1 baked American Pure 2 stave, 4 seared French Cuvée staves, 2 roasted French mocha, and 3 toasted French spice. So the idea behind this was they went high on the French Cuvée because French Cuvée adds depth to the body, so this will be a chewier body relative to the other makers we've had before.
Zombies be like.
Oh, okay, that's really well rounded.
extremely.
Toffee, chewy caramel, like really chewy caramel. Brown sugar. A little bit of that distinct Maker's Mark cherry, but not as much as every other one. And the spice feels like it's restrained relative to a lot of other...
Right, it definitely feels like it's, again, a sweeter overall than regular Maker's Mark and a lot of the standard offerings.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Ton of savory notes.
This is very different.
This is so different than...
I can't wait to compare. I can't wait to try the second one.
I'm excited now,
so
dude.
different.
Oh, it's so different.
This is a very different sweetness.
This is why I love Maker's Private Selects, because they use the same whiskey in all of them.
Change the finish, and it changes everything about this. This is, yeah, like you said, very savory. It's like...
There's chocolate, coffee, but like not to the same extent as the Fine Wine and Good Spirits one. This one has a ton of like, again, chewy caramel, ton of brown sugar, ton of like...
It almost tastes... So, the closest I can come to describing this is like, you know those caramel cream candies?
Which ones? Rolos? Or something
No, like
else?
the ones that are like literally it's like caramel with the white cream in the middle, the round ones.
Oh, like the Carmel or Carmelos?
Kind of, yeah, something
Okay.
like that. It reminds me of that.
That's fair. Carmelos with like some like spice put on top of it, because this still does have a little bit of maker spice, but it's a restrained maker
it's
spice.
It's restrained more, I think, than this other one. But this is... We picked the right order, I think.
Right.
They're both incredibly sweet. This is a very...
I'm so glad I bought 2 bottles of this because
this is not as much of a brown sugar sweetness. This is a more caramel.
For sure.
For sure, yeah, no, like it doesn't have like that brown sugar like molasses note to it. It has a little bit, but not to the point that like you say brown sugar. You say
And
the
also,
caramel.
it doesn't have a very, very long finish,
No.
but it is incredible. It's just pleasant all the way through.
Yeah.
It never loses the sweetness. The last flavor notes that linger seem to be like, again, caramel. And
Caramel?
They linger.
I would say it has a like. If you took like the toasted marshmallow note of that Baker's and took it from like a 6 down to a 2, you get a little bit of that on the tail end of this as well.
That. Yeah.
Like just that like bitter, somewhat sweet burnt
And keep in
note.
mind too, we've tried another private select that is not part of this lineup tonight too, and this is dramatically different than that.
Yep.
All 3 of these are so different, despite the fact that they start with the same base thing, and it's just the amounts that are changing.
It's all the same whiskey. It's just different single barrels and then different finishes. And they taste incredibly different. And even for single barrels, Maker's Mark is known for consistency. Like, they do a really good job at making a consistent
and for the
product.
fact that all of these taste so different tells you how much these different finishes affect it.
God, I fucking love Maker's Mark.
Right?
Like,
There's a reason that even though it's not necessarily my daily sipper anymore, it's still my favorite distillery.
It's tied, man. Like I said, you know I love Knob Creek.
Yeah.
But this is like a half a notch below Knob Creek. Knob Creek is also high rye, and this is wheated, so like there is that difference too.
Right.
Where like there's a little bit more robustness from the rye. But fucking damn, if, like, this is not the best idea in bourbon, I don't know what is, because sure, this is like a gimmick, quote-unquote, but I'll be
If a
damned
gimmick
if this
tastes-
is...
I can't call it a gimmick if it tastes great.
It's not. Yeah, it's not gimmicky if it's fucking delicious.
It's fucking delicious. It adds way more complexity than people realize.
What's really interesting is I've actually had to sell people on this.
I
It's
can't...
not one that people are immediately pulling off the shelf, which is weird because having tried multiple of these private selects, I could never say I'm even remotely disappointed by any of them.
No.
No.
It's also...
Now, again, you don't know what you're going to expect, and that might be part of it. Because while you're going to get something really good, there might be flavor notes you're not as much of a fan of.
Right.
But I've been a fan of all three of these, and they're dramatically different.
Not only that, but think about, like, the SC4 and the... What was the other, like...
The RC6.
RC6, but we haven't cracked that open yet.
Correct.
And we're cracking that open for the Makers lineup.
Oh, so you have RC6, yeah?
Yeah, I told you that before.
Yeah.
Did you forget that already?
I did. We've been talking about so much whiskey, my dude.
But unfortunately, that's the one that I only have one of because I didn't have the foresight to buy two of them. And I regret it because all of these have changed my perspective on how ingenious Makers is.
I like Weller Antique, but part of me does still wish I kept that second SE4. But, again, I like having both. I'm in a mood for one versus the other sometimes.
The thing that I give to Weller's is that it is such a different type of weeded bourbon from this.
Correct.
And
that's part of why, especially after trying the store pick, I'm like, well, I know I need to have the regular one.
And the other thing about Buffalo Trace is that, sure, Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, absolutely phenomenal. William LaRue Weller and George T. Stagg were two of the best bourbons I've ever had, hands down.
Yes, agreed.
But everything else from them, I don't need in my life.
Right, for example, Eagle Rare E.H. Taylor. I'm not gonna die if I don't have them on my shelf.
Yeah.
I want to have them, but I'm not gonna hunt for them. I'm not gonna go out of my way and pay extra money for it.
And that's the thing is, like, if I see Owa, I'm happy to pick it up, but I'm excited whenever I see these Maker's Marks picks. But
especially, like, as much as I like the wood finishes, these have been swaying me toward the private selects. It's only an extra $10.
It's a matter of picking the right ones because I've heard people say that there have been some less...
I saw someone posted in a bourbon group about a Maker's Private Select that it was 00, 10 Maker's 46, 00. I'm like, that's just Maker's 46 cask strength single barrel.
Yeah, that's basically a single barrel Maker's 46 cask.
But if that's also what... If it tasted good, okay, more power to them. I wouldn't know because I'm not trying that.
Oh,
like,
I'm
I think
sure.
it'd be interesting to get like a 10 of like one of the other staves that is not like a typical stave.
Oh, I want a 10 French mocha. I want a 10 French mocha. So bad.
Think about this. How many fucking combinations can you make?
I
Between
think
having 10 of one and none of the others to an even split of all of them, there's so many combinations.
I think they said it's 10,000 and one.
I think it's 10,001, yeah.
And they make every 10,001 or 1,001?
I think it's 10,000
I think it's 10,001.
Because
Either way.
yeah, no, like the...
Yeah. But like the fact that there's no way they even make all those combinations.
Yeah, because the way it is like you are either a small liquor store, a whiskey group, whatever. You basically say, we want to buy a barrel. Can you put these staves in it? Yeah, we can do this. List us which ones you want, and you put them in, and that's it.
And then you have a place like Fine Wine and Good Spirits that you have someone who knows their stuff, evidently, because the Fine Wine and Good Spirits picks for whiskeys have tended to be really good.
I will give them that. Like, they do a really good job in store picks.
And their taste lines up with ours pretty well. That's something that's important with a store pick, and I think with Makers it helps that even dramatically different ones still fit our taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish your thought, because my thought's a little bit off.
Well, I was gonna say, but with other things, especially like for example High West, it's important to find somewhere that you know that their picks tend to fall in line with what you like.
Yeah. The tangent I was going to go off of was, as much as I love Maker's Mark, they did upset me a little bit. You know the community batch that they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
They took like 46 or 47 different like private select recipes from all the different restaurants in Kentucky, blended them all together, and then released them as like a means to support like Kentucky businesses. My only gripe with that was, why didn't you release that nationally and really support like the Kentucky small
Yeah, right.
businesses? Like make bigger batches of it, so A, we get to try it, and B, it helps even more.
Yeah, because you know it's Maker's Mark. It'll sell. But
Maker's Mark sells well. It doesn't have the following that Buffalo Trace has, but you know what? I'm okay with that.
I was gonna say let's let it stay that way because then this sits on the shelf and I can fucking buy one without worrying about it disappearing before I get into work at 10 a.m. But that being said, let's move on to the Fine Wine and Good Spirits pick.
Let's do it.